What a day. I'm sure all of us are fairly exhausted. And there's a tradition. A lot of us at Simplify are from PIMCO, and we would have these sort of marathon sessions that were called Secular Forum, bring in central bankers and other sort of guest speakers, and just have a fire hose of information to digest to try to look ahead and try to take away some key conclusions. And one of the best at wrapping up, and very big shoes to fill, was Muhammad El-Arian. He would always somehow take days of content and squeeze it down to a couple takeaways, and was still charming about it, made it very digestible. So hard act to follow, but I'll do my best. In terms of just kind of going down the agenda, here are some of my sort of key takeaways. Fiona opened us up. We swapped roles last year. I warmed up, and she got to open it up this year. And for me, that's sort of a reminder of just betting on great people. She didn't come from a traditional, ETF background or anything. She's our COO. Seamless transition, walked into that job, just took over and hired amazing people, built a great team, and just built culture. And example was today, right, where she spoke about the urgency of now, of not having the perfect time, of sometimes just a sort of like the tilt towards action, right? Simplify was founded during COVID. So I remember right before, I had a nice cushy job at a Des Moines-based insurance company, some of whom joined me at Simplify now. And it's pretty hard when you're thinking about quitting in the middle of a crisis. You have 3 kids, this company's your medical coverage and all that stuff. But there's sort of a long vision of what I wanted to try to build. Co-founder with Dave Burns, we wanted to build something, and it could have easily stretched on a couple more months, couple more quarters, right? Because wow, what a lousy time to quit a job. But in hindsight, it was the perfect time, because it all of a sudden, with the world shut down, it opened up access to clients who suddenly take a chance at somebody with a Zoom pitch, right? Video conference versus flying in somebody. It created interest in sort of doing business with startups. And again, completely unpredictable, but it ended up being the perfect time for it. So that's sort of a takeaway for me, is just, man, some of these early hires, right? I broke a rule with that. You're not supposed to bring friends into a business. Fiona's a good friend, family friend, and she's one of our first people who joined, right? And we've broken a lot of rules along the way, but they've kind of worked out. And it's really going back to betting on good people, building the right culture, setting the right values, playing long-term games with long-term people. From Coney Island Prep, my takeaway there is the power of example. Role models matter, right? So I don't know Leslie very well, but Leslie Bernard Joseph, here's this superstar guy, Princeton undergrad, Stanford grad school. He could have any job in the world. Certainly he could be in any of our seats, right, in the financial world, collecting very big salaries and sort of running high-power organization. But he said, you know what? Someone took a chance on me. Someone empowered me to make a difference in my life, and I want to give back, and I want to invest in kids, right? That's pretty powerful. Like, when I saw that, I'm like, man, that's the right type of organization. And the role of example there is you get to see an example of an organization that demonstrates and breaks stereotypes. Like, oh, you can't bet on poor kids. You can't bet on, certain type of students. You can't bet on this or that. Oh, historically, that region produces 30% of kids that go to college. And you could have tried to break that and offer a 50% or 60% replacement rate. But this school has 7 years of 100% placement into elite schools that are comparable with the best private schools out there. And when you see that kind of level of excellence, it doesn't even matter that it's not the dominant model, right? It's just when you prove a point, when you show that certain number of people, the right culture, betting on the right sort of just a model, right? And then really having self-selection. Behind the success of a lot of charter schools, it's really the concept of self-selection. It's not just a student, obviously amazing teachers, obviously great leadership, right? Someone funding this model to prove the point in the first place. But a lot of it comes down to self-selection of families who want a way out, who want to get to live the American dream, and who want to say, you know what, my kid can go to Stanford. Screw you guys. First time college, the world is open for opportunity. And we're going to prove everybody wrong. We're going to show you that entire neighborhood kids from Coney Island could go to Stanford, right? And do it every freaking year. Like that to me is a power of example, really speaks to why we're in this business, why capitalism works. It's because disruptive models led by amazing people with the right buy-in from a community, that's really how we affect change. And change isn't all at once. You're not going to suddenly magically fix the public education system, but all you need is one example. You need just one passionate individual, passionate group of teachers, prove the impossible, and you just win over converts. And over time, one charter school becomes 5, becomes 10, starts impacting the public education system. That's how you affect change. That's my takeaway there. From let's see, the next one is impact investing. Similar takeaways in a different way, right? People try to enforce sort of views or politicize stuff, but sometimes the best way to change is create the right incentives, right? Capitalism works on incentives. If you create a way to invest that has impact, that argues for your sort of approach, make it profitable. Show that that drives positive returns. Show alpha, right? Show that that way of investing is a dominant model versus something else. And guess what? People's natural incentives, greed, capitalism kicks in, and that's a force multiplier. And I think that's sort of the takeaway today is that ESG and all these sort of concepts that sound great, when done properly, you're going to see that money will follow and the impact of that investment will change the world. But it's got to be done well in a thoughtful way with clear profit-driven, sort of impact, clear measurement of metrics, a reason of being, and ultimately adding value, right? So all of those things, I think when those forces align, you see great change. Next panel, let's see. We got the ETF state. One, I learned, don't get on the bad side of Eric Balchunas, or else he's going to call you the Segway of ETFs. So that was fun. But what's the real punchline there? They've been in an industry that's growing. I've had the fortune of being in an industry that's a growing pie, right? That's the best type of industry in because it's not a zero-sum game. It sucks to play zero-sum games because everyone else is competition and your alpha, your market share is coming out of somebody else. But when you're in a market that's growing, one, it's a lot happier industry. There's a lot more opportunities. And it's just more rewarding. And the ETF industry is that and has been that for at least me and hopefully our company as well. But ultimately, they're talking about democratization, right? The reason that ETF industry has done so well is because it's got a simple value proposition. It takes the sort of country club, hard to access, opportunities, how you generate returns or income or just special type of, ways to make money. And it's opening that club up to other people and really anyone with a Schwab account or, brokerage account. If you could buy a share of something, you could buy an exotic, bond in some country, or you could access a managed futures account or invest in a long-short strategy that previously you needed $5 million and some connections to get into. So that sort of mission for the vehicle has made it a very good place to, one, for my own career, but it's just been a very rewarding, place to be part of because it's fun. We have friendships that cut across companies. If you feel good, I feel great being in an industry of democratizing exposures, trying to help people with their retirement portfolios, of helping people manage their risk, of educating advisors, clients. That's an awesome dream job. Like, I get paid for that, right? I would love to do that anyway. So that's been great. And I love sort of, again, the sort of interest and the power of momentum in the ETF vehicle. And we are completely grateful for that. In terms of, let's see, we got, the first fireside chat with Boaz Weinstein. big billionaire credit hedge fund. Instead of getting sort of investment takeaways, for me, it was more of the individual, like humanizing, a famous finance guy who's in the news and, oh, he's an activist and he's tough and he's gonna, tell BlackRock how to improve their business. But it really was a story about a person, right? A person who appreciates and has humility on what led him to his success. The fact that someone's random act of kindness, right? Some Christian lady back in Poland saving his grandfather or grandmother and making sure, someone survived the Holocaust. Like that was not alpha. That was not a good investment case. That was an act of kindness. And the role of randomness, right, in our success, of running into senior leaders in the bathroom, right? Sure, there's some element of being there, right circumstances, but like the humility of saying so much of our success in life is random, right? And that should make you humble, appreciative, and that's sort of what I took away from him. Like more than his awesomeness at investing, it was just like, this guy's grateful, he's humble, and he sees the big picture and he appreciates the role that people have played in his life along the way. And I've personally experienced that my whole life. I would say I'm lucky, like he says he's lucky, right? We all have our difference in luck, but right person, right people, right hires, right clients, have come along the way. And I think that humility and that sort of appreciation of how random life is, it kind of makes, at least me, it makes me stronger in faith. It makes me appreciate God more for personally. Beyond that, what was his sort of takeaway? The takeaway for him on the investment side is like, there are riches and niches. Like everyone's got their edge somewhere, and he's clearly found multiple times different edges. His latest is closed-end funds, right? Maybe not the biggest niche in the world, but big enough to create a billionaire, right? Or help create further a billionaire's wealth. And I think that's great. That's an affirmation of the system we have, where someone who obsesses about opportunities, about sort of improving the efficiency of a market or driving returns for the clients, creates value and is rewarded for it. And what he hasn't talked about during that session, I bet you he's created a lot of careers, and I bet you he's paid that forward in different ways. I don't know the guy, but just the way he frames his own life experiences, I have no doubt that person has created dozens of other stories for other people. And that's one of the advantages and one of the most rewarding parts of being an entrepreneur is you get to take chances on people. Like our entire company is full of, yes, a lot of accomplished, a lot of smart people, but we've taken chances with very non-traditional hires, literally high school kid, random people, random friends of friends, not because we have to, but because there was an element of self-selection, somebody who clearly is passionate, clearly is not like everyone else, clearly stands out. And we get the luxury of having a platform where we could take chances on people like that because, you know what? We don't have to answer to a very, very established brand with, headlines written if you do something different or unorthodox. And that's healthy. And I think we need more of that. And for me, that's been part of the most rewarding part is seeing people grow into roles, seeing people self-select for things that they probably weren't qualified for, except those, X variables, right, that kind of make them stand out. And having the reward of feeling, oh man, I saw that twinkle in their eye, and I saw the potential early. Like that's so fun. That's amazing, and I want to do more of that. And it's part of the reason why we want to grow our platform is because it really helps change people's lives. And similarly, we have similar regrets. Where not on people hiring or not that stuff, but like. Some of the biggest disappointments are when we underperform in a strategy. I take it personally. We take it personally because sometimes our strategies that, some of our earliest advocates, our first trades, have bought shares of ETFs that don't perform well. And like that feels to us or feels to me like a personal, failure. And I think that sort of mindset of being client-centric, really owning what we try to do, of being focused on people, being focused on relationships. Any investor in our ETF to us becomes someone who's betting, right? Betting something. There's an opportunity cost to that trade. Whether it's their money, their client's money, the client's trust, right? There's a cost to that, and we really try to earn that and really take it seriously when we don't live up to it. So I think those are some of the lessons you learn along the way that I really value. In terms of, let's see, the next panel, we have a commodities panel. Talked about a world of scarcity. And for the first time, it's not just commodities, like energy's going up, all the usual stuff. We've underinvested in capacity. So yeah, there's scarcity there. But for the first time in probably, is it 15 years? Maybe a little less. It feels like the scarcity of money is a thing now too, right? All of a sudden interest rates are going up, liquidity matters, and central banks are not automatically going to press the print button. And the scarcity of capital means all our choices matter even more. We don't get automatic redos. We have to be really thoughtful that we get something out of our investments, and that building factories and mines and all these things, any companies, like it comes with a lot of, you're basically changing the culture of the world, right? You're creating new type of jobs, careers, ecosystems, communities. And I think it's very easy to get disconnected from the abstract of money, like bits of paper, right? But there's actual real world element to it. And it's great to see some of that pendulum swing back where people are, thinking about traditional or boring industries. It's not just about the dot-coms. Other stuff matters. And it's great seeing that, great seeing the debate, great seeing sort of the market valuing fundamentals again. So the cost of money is leading to people valuing money more, which is leading to better choices. And again, that's a dynamic part of capitalism. And it's great to see that play out. The geopolitics part. So not only is capital getting more scarce, capital is not neutral. So policies matter, and how we invest matter. We're changing the world, right? Giving different parties or companies money is not a neutral, I just want to make money on this. You're actually voting. You're voting society's resources and prioritization to certain business models or countries or regions. And the other takeaway related to that is that the market hasn't been really good about weighing some of these risks, like geopolitical risks. And on an individual company basis, a lot of companies can't really look beyond their own personal, right, P&L or sort of like personal interest, but there are strategic things where an investment abroad or closing a manufacturing, facility in the U.S., like those aren't just dollars and cents. You're changing people's lives and trajectories, and there's real cost to these decisions that go beyond that. And I think again, with interest rates going up, capital becoming more scarce, people talking about these type of ideas, the hope is that capitalism can sort of address those and start pricing in some of these risk premia and things like that a little better. One way or another, right? If somebody has a big chunk of their portfolio in a country that gets blacklisted and you go to zero on that investment, at least that person is going to start thinking about those risks. But as we see more of these risks play out, I'm hopeful that smarter allocation of capital and better use of capital, more thoughtful, again, this is not neutral money. Money matters because it is connected to the real world. I hope that stuff happens more. Daniela DiMartino Booth, I'm a big fan of hers. You do need a drink after often when you hear her talk. But it's fine. What is the takeaway there? For me, it's less about the macro, because I know she's going to be bearish. I know she's going to be worried about, Jay Powell. My takeaway there is people matter, right? Like Jay Powell, he's a guy who wants to create a legacy, who really believes in something and is one person who's going to significantly change the course of our economy, people's lives, which companies go under, kind of the sort of credibility of capitalism and things like that, right? So wherever that lands, you see how such a small number of people can dramatically change the course of history in different roles. It's not just the leadership on the sort of geopolitical side. It could be a central banker. It could be your local principal, whatever. So that sort of like personal, people-driven impact for me, that never really appreciated the sort of Fed personality dynamic until, I've been listening to more of her stuff. And the second point is related to that is like failures are good. We really haven't had a lot of failures, right? We haven't had enough bankruptcies. Part of what came out of the financial crises is that so many companies and industries are considered too big to fail. But capitalism doesn't work if entire industries are considered too big to fail, because you never get the cleanse. You never get the sort of, punishment for bad decisions, right? If you never go bankrupt, then it doesn't matter what you do. And that just encourages wastefulness, the wrong incentives, right? No consideration about long-term balance sheet, right? The stuff that you see countries doing. Companies do similar because they're like, why does it matter? I could borrow as much money as I want at 0%, or if the stuff hits the fan, Jay Powell or somebody's going to print money. So sort of the accountability of capitalism, I think, has been missing. And so we want to see that. And then let's see, final, I'm getting the hand to move. Alts panel, a lot of smart people in the industry. They still ascribe a lot of results to luck, right? Life is about luck, timing. It's a humility of it. You try to improve what you can from a very noisy opportunity set. But, you sort of build credibility over time. And there's a massive need for people to have things beyond just bonds and equities. Days like today, years like 2022, you're seeing that we need more diversification. We need more literally alternatives. We need more ways to protect investors and generate returns. And that's a good thing. That's democratization process. And I think we're seeing that play live. And last but not least, just want to thank everyone here. Thank you. It was a marathon. Thank you to our clients. Thank you to the NYSE for a third year of an amazing venue. Just ridiculous how much history, right? This is the seat of capitalism, and it's created dreams and sort of monetized dreams for so many people. And we get to be here and sort of have our day. So appreciative of all that. And thank you so much. Thank you for the Simplify colleagues. You make it very, very fun to be part of this organization. And, I just pray every day that I can live up to sort of your confidence and your trust. And, I'm going to do my best. Hopefully we get the right decisions in there. But, we have the fortune of having great people, a lot of advocates, a lot of luck, and hopefully a lot of humility. So thank you.